go over all the different options you have here in the Brainfuse service, and show you exactly how everything works. I'm not sure how familiar you are with everything we're looking at, but I'll essentially go over it like you're seeing it for the first time. So I'll click on all the options to show you how it works. Each of the buttons you see here is a different part of our service that's offered. We have 3 different tabs here, so there's different buttons within each tab. Basically, each of these buttons here can be removed if it's not something that's relevant for your students. So the page here is fully customizable. Again, if you have any questions as I'm going through the webinar today, feel free to type them out. I'll address them right when I see them. I'll try to stop every few minutes as well to ask if you have any questions and give you some time to type out questions if you do have them. Okay, so the Expert Help tab is the default and the first one here. So I'm going to start with this and just go through the different options you have here. Live Help is the first button. This is how your students will connect with our live tutors. So you click on that button, and then you get the options here, the 2 drop-down menus. So you can choose from the topics listed first. So if you choose business, you can then choose accounting, econ, or finance. If you choose computers and tech, we have a few options here. For English, we have reading and writing. For math, we have all the basic math subjects. And then for science, we have anatomy, biochem, and physics. So these are the options your students will have. So they choose the one they want, and then they click on the Get Live Help button to connect with one of our live tutors. We'll look at a live session at the very end today, so I'm going to go through the full service first, and then the live session will be the last thing that we look at. And you can also click right here if you'd like to get a Spanish-speaking tutor. Back on the main page, the next button here is Skill Surfer. So this essentially allows students to access a lot of resources that we have created. So if you click on Skill Surfer, the student that can then choose from the topics listed here, English, math, and science. And then within each of those, there are some subtopics. So let's say, for example, within math, I choose college algebra. We then have within college algebra all these different subtopics here. So numbers and operations, algebraic expressions. So you see here within numbers and operations, for example, there's 105 lessons here within that subject you can click on. Some of these have fewer, but there are other lessons here within each of these subjects that you can click on. So, and then the lessons are either a text lesson, which is the orange reddish icon here. Then we also have video lessons available. So those are videos that we've created. The lessons we've also created, but the videos have audio. They'll go over the basics of that topic. They're similar to the lessons, but they're in video format. So students can click on these on their own. And we also have additional topics here. So we have these for math, reading and writing for English, and biology, chemistry, and physics for science. The next option here is the Writing Lab. So the Writing Lab allows your students to send in pieces of writing they're working on to have them reviewed by one of our tutors. So when a student sends in a paper, it goes out to our tutors right away, and the student will get that back, get our response back within a max turnaround time of 1 business day. A lot of the time we'll send it back more quickly than that, but it's 1 business day maximum turnaround time. So when you click on the Writing Lab here, it takes me directly to this page, and that's because I'm already signed in. So we have certain parts of our service where you'll need to have an account to access them. It's just a username and password. Those are the only 2 pieces of information you'll have to give us when you create that account. You don't have to give us any personal information. Of course, there's no fees. It's just so that you have your own login information so that you can sign back into Brainfuse to retrieve that document that our tutor sends to you. There's a few other parts of our service where you'll need a username and password as well, but the Writing Lab is the first one here. It sort of depends on how you're setting the service up with our tech department as to whether those accounts get pre-created for your students or whether your students just log in and then create the account on their own. We can do it either way, but it will depend on exactly how you set up access to the service with our tech department. So if you click on the Writing Lab and you're not signed in, the system will prompt you either to sign in or to create an account. So the system will always direct you to what you need to do to access this part of the service. Once you get to the Writing Lab page here, all you do is follow the 2 steps here. So attach your document. I'll attach a sample here that I have. Pretty much any standard document type is fine. You can type out any comments here in the comments box, and then go ahead and click on Submit when you're ready to send it in. So you get a message right here. It says you'll receive a response within 1 business day in your message center. So the message center is right here at the top of the page. So this right here is a student submission, and then the tutor's response shows up in the bluish box right below it. Down here at the bottom is the one we just sent in right now. So when you log back into your account with that username and password that you created, you just click on the Message Center option here, and you can always access the documents that you've submitted here, as well as the ones that our tutors have sent back to you. The tutor is going to focus on providing comments and suggestions to improve the paper. So the tutor is not going to make all of the changes for the student or pick out every typo or grammar error. The tutor focuses more on the big picture and how to help the student write a better paper. So the student can then use those comments to make some changes, improve their paper, and then turn it in. Or if they still have time, they can feel free to send it in to us a second time or a third time to get an additional review. And then we'll look at one more service here, the 24/7 Center, and then I'll pause to see if anyone has any questions. The 24/7 Center works just like the Writing Lab that we just looked at, except it's for academic questions here. So you'll also need the username and password to access 24/7 Center. Basically, you choose a topic and a subject. They'll be the same ones that we saw before that are available here. And then you type out your question in the text box right here. You can also attach a file if you have one, and then click on Submit. So that question is saved in the Message Center along with a response that our tutor will send back. Again, the turnaround time is 1 business day at the most, but especially for academic questions sent in here, we usually respond more quickly than that. And our tutors are never going to give out an answer. So if a student sends in a math question, the tutor will most likely work through a similar problem to show the student how you do that type of question. But the tutor is not going to work through the student's question and give them the answer. Okay, does anyone have any questions so far? Okay, great. I see no questions for now. So I'll keep going down the page. The next option here is the Language Lab. So this is basically here to make sure students are aware that we offer help for English-speaking students who are learning Spanish. So Spanish is the only language we currently offer in the Language Lab, so it's the only option in the drop-down menu. So you can choose Spanish and then click on the Connect with Tutor button to connect with a live tutor who can help you with learning Spanish. We also saw in the Live Help option, you have this checkbox you can click on. So you choose the topic and subject you want to get live help on, and you can click on this to get a Spanish-speaking tutor. So this is used more for a native Spanish speaker, so someone who wants, calculus help or economics help in Spanish, whereas the Language Lab is more for someone who's just learning the Spanish language. The Adult Learning Center here, I'll click on that. So this is where we have all of our resources for adults. Again, these are just the options that we have. This one may not be relevant for your students being a college, but we have some options here for adult learners. So on the right, we have a number of similar options to ones we just looked at. So for any adult learners, they can log in here and connect with a live tutor through live tutoring or through skills building. Both of these options will connect you with one of our live tutors. We have the Writing Lab. That's the same Writing Lab as before, where an adult learner can send in a piece of writing to have it reviewed. We have the 24/7 help option. That's where you can send in an academic question, just like the Writing Lab. And then we have the Test Center, which we actually haven't seen back on the main page yet, but we will. And the Test Center just lets you take academic practice tests. So here they're geared towards adult learners because we're in the Adult Learning Center. On the left, we have some additional options. So if anyone's preparing for the GED test, there are some resources here for that, including live tutoring and practice tests. For the U.S. citizenship test, we have the same options. So there are some resources, plus live tutors available, plus practice tests. We have a resume option here. So for anyone who's working on a resume, they can access our online resources here for resumes under number 1 on the left. Under number 2 in the middle, you can send a copy of your resume to us to have it reviewed. That works just like the writing lab, where you can send in a piece of writing. You can do the same thing here with your resume. And then on the right, we have live resume help. We also offer Microsoft Office help. I'll click on this button. We offer help with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, up to the most recent versions of those programs. On the left, we have online resources. And on the right, you can connect to a live tutor and ask any questions you have about Excel, PowerPoint, or Word. And then the last option, the Career Resources button here. This is basically a list of websites we've compiled that students can use to find available jobs to apply to. So we have a general job site section. Then we have a section for students and recent graduates. And down at the bottom, a section for veterans. So those were the options here in the Adult Learning Center. I'll go back to the home page. The Adult Learning Center button right here is the one we just looked at. So moving down, the next option here is LEAP. So when you click on LEAP for the first time, you will see, you won't see this page. You'll see this Take Diagnostic tab if we click on that. So this is the page you'll see when you click on it for the first time. So you can choose English or Math. Say I choose English. You can choose Reading. In Math, you can choose college algebra or pre-algebra. This is just sort of an additional option that we have for students that will let them do get a little bit of help in these particular subjects on their own. So the student chooses the subject they want, they take a diagnostic test, and then based on the results of that diagnostic test, it will assign them a learning plan that looks just like this page right here. So this graph up here shows their progress in going through the study plan. The colors will change here as you complete different sections. So if you scroll down, you'll see those sections. So based on the questions you answer incorrectly in that diagnostic test, you're assigned lessons, also videos and mini quizzes here. So you'll go over the lesson, the video, and then you'll take a mini quiz on that subject. That's just a couple questions, 2-3 questions. And then you move down and go through all the topics here. So it'll help you address areas that you didn't do so well in on that diagnostic test. So we only have these available for certain subjects. I believe it's reading, writing, and then pre-algebra and college algebra. So those are the only options you have. But it's a nice option for students to work through these topics on their own. And then next to the LEAP button here, back on the main page, we have Tutor Match. This is mostly used by clients who want to also have their own tutors available, so in-person tutors available on campus. So you can click on Tutor Match and schedule an appointment. That's mostly what this is used for. So that, again, might be something you're not going to use. We can remove that option. Any questions so far about anything we've gone over? Okay, can I go a little more into the Tutor Match? So this can be used. It can be used to schedule a session with our tutors as well, but it isn't used very much because we have tutors available for certain hours anyway, so you can always log in and get a tutor without scheduling it in advance. So the topics here, you can choose what topics you want to have available. Say I choose writing. Click on schedule. So then you request the tutoring session here. So you can choose from this option the preferred modality. So sometimes people will want to offer phone sessions. If you choose online, that's the only ones that we offer, is the online tutoring sessions. But the phone option or on campus can be something that you use. Enter a phone number here if that's the option you'll be using. Then you just enter the day and time down here and try to find a tutor available for that subject. So if you're using this, you would have to have tutors available with their availability listed. We don't have many people who use this option. It's a fairly new option, but if you have your own tutors and you'd like to use our system here to schedule those sessions, you can use this page here. Any other questions for right now? Okay, great. So I'll go back to the home page. So those were the options here in the Expert Help tab. So we'll move on now to the Study tab. We have a few options here. The first one is Flashbulb. So for students who want to have Flashbulb is a flashcard service. So if a student wants to enter their own flashcards online, rather than creating hard copies, they can use Flashbulb here. And there's actually a lot of options here in Flashbulb that you don't have with just simple hard copies of flashcards. So if you click on the Flashbulb button, click on the Create Now option right here to enter your own flashcards. So vocab words and definitions, or whatever the terms are that you want to enter, you can do that here. We also have all these different topics listed here, so you can search through sets of flashcards that other people have created and access those flashcards. For the most part, they're just created by other students, though, so they may not be accurate, and they probably won't cover the exact words that you're looking to work on. I'm going to click on one of the sets of cards here just to show you what a set of flashcards looks like once you've created it. So this page right here is a set of flashcards. So once you've entered them, you'll see a page like this, and then you can click on each of these icons here to do something different with the flashcards. So the first one will just show me the cards. So here's the first word. I can click on it to flip it over and see the definition. And if I know that one, I can put it in the correct pile. Say I don't know the next one, you can put it in the incorrect pile. And then once you've gone through all the cards, you can click on the retry button to go over the ones that you did not know. But there's also a lot of games down here you can play and some other options. So for example, you can click on the crossword puzzle, and the system creates a crossword puzzle using the words that you entered and the definitions over here as the clues. There are a number of other games here as well. You can take a quiz or a test. You can print the cards if you want to have hard copies of them. And there's a number of other options here as well. So it's all designed just to make memorizing a little bit easier for students. So that's what Flashbulb is here. If we go back to the main page and go back into the Study tab, so that was the Flashbulb option. The next one here is the GRE. So for anyone who's preparing to take the GRE test, we have some options here for them. So we have live help here. You can choose one of the 3 sections of the test and connect with a live tutor. We also have practice tests available. And then on the right, we have resources available that will help you prepare for the GRE test. If I go back, we have the same thing here also for Accuplacer and Compass. So the exact same options that we just saw for the GRE, we have those for the Accuplacer test and for the Compass test. If these are not relevant, again, they can be removed. The resources button right here, this is a customizable link for you. So we have sometimes clients will want to add a link back to their own homepage or to other resources that they offer. So in the resources button here, we can add any of those links for you. So this will be blank unless you send some links to us that you'd like us to add. And then the last option here in the study section is the Test Center. So the Test Center basically allows your students to take academic practice tests in various subjects. So you click on the Test Center, and then you just choose one of the available topics and subjects, So say I choose math. We have most of the basic math topics here. So I can choose geometry and take a general practice test on that subject. You'll need to have a username and password for this so that the test results are saved within your account. A lot of students like to take one of these practice tests, and then they'll log in with one of our live tutors, and the student can tell the tutor, I just took this geometry practice test. I'd like to go over the questions I got wrong. And our tutors are actually able to access your test results. So they can pick out the questions you got wrong and go over those with you in a live session. So those were the options here in the study section. Does anyone have any questions about any of these options? Can I show you the AccuPlacer prep? Yeah, it looks just like the GRE page. So we have resources, practice tests available for each section of the AccuPlacer test, and then live tutors available as well. Any other questions right now? Okay, great. So I will move on to the Collaborate tab, the last one here. There's just two options here in Collaborate. The first one is Meet. So essentially Meet allows you to schedule an online meeting with whoever you'd like to invite. So it uses our online classroom, just like when you connect with our live tutors, except in a Meet session, you're not connecting with our tutors. You're only connecting with the people you invite to the session. So it might be used by students to have a study group. It can even be used by a teacher or professor to give extra help to students outside of the classroom. But it lets you schedule an online meeting inviting multiple people, and you connect in our online classroom. So we'll see the online classroom and exactly what options you have when we connect for that live session in a few minutes. So it's the same online classroom as when you connect with one of our live tutors. So if you click on the Meet button here, you will need to have a username and password to schedule one of these sessions. However, the people you invite to the session don't need to be registered in Brainfuse. So only the person creating the session here will need the username and password. So you just type in the email addresses of the people you'd like to invite, put in the date and time, a description of the meeting, and click on Send. So that'll send an email to those people whose email address you entered. They'll be able to click on the link that's sent to them to join that session. Once you have one of these sessions scheduled, you have the My Calendar option here at the top of the page. So this is where it will appear. So this is where you'll go when it's time to start that session. And again, we'll see what the online classroom looks like in a few minutes. Right next to the Meet option, we have Brainwave. So this button says Create and Share Movie-like Notes and Ideas. So essentially, we give you a smartboard here in Brainwave, let you put whatever you'd like onto the smartboard, and a little video recording is made of whatever you're putting on that board as you do it. So you'll also need a username and password to use this part of the service, because these little videos will be saved within your account. So these are brainwaves that I've previously created in this account. I can click on the Create a Brainwave button up here to create a new one. This window tells me a little bit more about Brainwave, and then I can click on the Begin Recording button down here when I'm ready to start. We call this the Brainwave Notepad. It looks just like our online classroom that we'll see in a few minutes. Of course, I'm not connected with a tutor right now. I'm just using the whiteboard space up here, and I can type out whatever I'd like or put whatever I'd like to on the board. So I'll go over these buttons when we connect for the live session. But for example, I have a graph option here. I have within the Shapes tool the option of adding a line to the graph. So I could work through how to find the slope of this line. Or whatever the problem is that I'm trying to solve. The system's recording a little video of what I'm doing here. So when I'm done, I click on Stop Recording, type out a name for that brainwave, and then click on Save. So that would save it right here. with these other two brainwaves. You can click on the play button to replay that brainwave, or you can actually send it to somebody else using the envelope icon over here. So you just have to enter their email address, and it will email a link to them. They can click on to view that brainwave. So students can send these to each other, or again, even a teacher could create these and send them to their students. And you can always click on the My Brainwaves option up here at the top of the page to access your Brainwaves page right here. We also have the Brainwave Library tab. So this lets you search by keyword for brainwaves that other people have created. So it's just like those flashcards where you could find other people's flashcards. You can do the same thing here with brainwaves by searching by keyword. Okay, those were the two options here in Collaborate. Are there any questions about either of those? Okay, so no questions. I'm going to pause the screen for just a second and get the live session set up. Okay, the screen should be live again, or in the next couple seconds. So we'll go ahead and connect for a live session now, so I can show you how that works. We saw a number of different areas where you can connect with a live tutor, but one of the most used options, and the first one that we looked at, was the Live Help button right here, right at the top of the page. So I'll click on that. I'll choose English, and then writing, or whatever topic I want to choose, and then click on Get Live Help to connect with a live tutor. So this is the online classroom here that's opening up. It'll always look the same, no matter what subject you log in for. You'll always see the same online classroom. Today I've just set it up so that I connect with myself. I'm also logged in as a tutor. So the tutor's name here and in the participants box here on the left. So there's two basic parts to the online classroom. There's the whiteboard space at the top and the chat box down at the bottom. So if I want to type something back to the tutor, I can just click right here and type whatever I'd like. So usually the session will start, the tutor greets the student, and then figures out what exactly they need help with. So this tutor would know that I chose to work on English, but they wouldn't know anything other than that. So the instant message chat box down here is where a lot of the back and forth communication takes place. And then the whiteboard space up here, it can also be used for communicating, but this area can be used for a number of different things. So our tutors have a lot of resources they can load into the whiteboard space, including all of those lessons that we saw before. So if a student logs in looking for help with how to multiply fractions or whatever the topic is, the tutor can load our lesson on that topic into the whiteboard here and go through that with the student. Our tutors also have things like resume templates they can load, sample resumes, and some other resources as well. We show our tutors and teach the tutors exactly how to use all the things that we have available to them. Then this area can also be used just to go over a math problem or a science problem, something like that a student's working on, or a student could load part of a paper they're working on into the whiteboard space here and go over that with a tutor. So it really just depends on what the student is looking for help with. So as far as what you can do on the whiteboard here, you have all these different buttons. So these will each let you do something different on the board. So if you put your mouse over the icon, it'll give you a little description of what you can do. So I'll quickly go through some of the options here. So you can freehand draw, you can erase, you can click on the ABC button, and then click anywhere on the whiteboard and then type. The font button will let you change the font style and size that you're typing in. Color wheel will let you change the color. And of course the whiteboard here is interactive, so whatever I'm writing on the whiteboard here, it's showing up on the tutor's whiteboard and vice versa. So it's essentially like we're working on the same whiteboard. So if I type something on the board, the tutor can then underline it or erase it, something like that. So everything it's essentially like we're working on the same whiteboard. This button here lets you paste anything onto the whiteboard that can be copied and pasted. So you can paste a math problem from an online source, or you can paste part of a paper you're working on, and then you and the tutor could look at it together. This is just a straight line tool. You can use it to underline or to draw figures. Then we have the graph button right here, which actually gives you the option of putting a graph on the board or a number line. So if you choose the number line, I can click and drag that onto the board. Or I can choose the graph and click and drag that. And you can double click on the icons here to change the X and Y values. Then we have a shapes tool. So that was how I put the lines onto the graph previously in the brainwave option. There's also some other shapes here you can use. You just change the color. And you can put some other basic shapes onto the board. The arrow here is undo, so that'll just remove the most recent thing you put on the board. Math button gives you a long list of math symbols to choose from if you need any. SCI does the same thing for science symbols. Then we have a superscript option and a subscript option. And down at the bottom you can clear the entire whiteboard. Up at the top here we have some additional options. So if there's something on the whiteboard that was particularly helpful, a solution to a problem, something like that, you can click on the print option to print it out. However, there's also another option. If we go back to the website, you'll see this past sessions button here at the top of the page. You can always click here and your live tutoring sessions are automatically recorded and then saved here within your account. This only is the case if you have a username and password. So usually we set it up so that you can actually access our live tutors without a username and password. The system will just give the student a guest account. However, if you log in with a guest account, you don't have your own account, so the sessions are not recorded and saved here. But if you do have a username and password, they are automatically recorded and saved within your account, so you can log back in anytime and replay those sessions. If I go back to the online classroom, if I did happen to connect as a guest, we have this envelope icon here, which lets you enter your email address, and then we'll email a link to you that you can click on to watch the recording of your session. So even if you log in as a guest, you have this option here. The description's a little bit outdated, so now it actually sends a link you can click on to view the recording of the session, whereas it used to just send a chat box transcript. But now it actually lets you view the recording. And you can use this even if you are a registered user. If you have a username and password, you can use this as well, and then you'll have access to your recording from your email rather than having to sign into your Brainfuse account. This button right here lets you upload a document directly to your tutor. So if you have a paper you're working on, you log in with a writing tutor, and you'd like to have them go over it, you can send that paper to the tutor here using this button. And then the last option here is Cloud Pack Explorer. This is actually one I didn't go over back on the website. So you see right here you have the My Cloud Pack option. So Cloud Pack is essentially a storage device. When you first open it, these two folders here are ones that I added. So it'll just say My Cloud Pack when you first open it. You can add whatever subfolders you like, and then you can upload documents into those folders. So it works as a storage device, so you can always come back here to access these documents that you've saved within your Cloud Pack. But the other nice thing about it is that you can access those documents you have saved there when you're in a live session. You can go to your Cloud Pack and open up one of those documents right onto the whiteboard here. So then you and the tutor could look at that document together. Okay, so that's essentially how the online classroom works. If we were connected in one of those Meet sessions where you schedule a session with your friends or with whoever you'd like to invite, the online classroom here will look the same. You can have more than 2 people attend, so the participants box could have 3, 4, 5 or more people, and you would essentially all be working on the same whiteboard. And anything you type in the chat box would show up for everybody in their chat window. So you could have a little study group, go over homework problems, something like that. But the options you have here would be the same. There just wouldn't be one of our tutors present. So are there any questions about anything within the online classroom? Okay, I see there's no questions. That's essentially everything I wanted to go over today. So those were all of the options available here, as well as the live session. I'll just ask one more time. Are there any other final questions I can answer? Comments, anything you want me to go back over? I'd be happy to do that. Is there a limit to the amount of time students can spend on the site? Not normally, no. If you want to set a limit so that your students don't go over a certain number of tutoring hours, we can do that. But in general, no, there's no limit. Any other questions? Okay, great. If you do think of any other questions in the future, you can feel free to contact me anytime to ask. I'd be happy to take them. Okay, thanks everyone for attending. Hope it was helpful, and have a great rest of the day.